Once upon a time, nestled in a quaint village embraced by towering, emerald mountains, lived a young man named Marco. At 24 years of age, he was a whirlwind of restless energy. His mind, a relentless battlefield, was constantly besieged by a relentless barrage of thoughts. These thoughts, like unruly guests, would arrive uninvited, linger uncomfortably, and depart only to be replaced by others equally disquieting. This ceaseless mental activity left him feeling perpetually uneasy and utterly drained. Marco was haunted by the specters of his past, each regret a chilling whisper in his ear. Simultaneously, he was consumed by anxieties about the future, a dark and uncertain landscape stretching endlessly before him. These relentless thoughts had transformed his mind into a tempestuous storm, churning with worries and fears. He found himself unable to achieve a state of tranquility. His sleep was fitful and disturbed, and he had, sadly, almost forgotten the simple joy of a genuine smile. One day, a whisper of hope reached Marco's ears. He heard tell of a remote village, nestled high in the verdant hills, where resided a wise old man. This man, it was said, had once been a renowned psychologist in the bustling city, a beacon of hope for countless souls. He had dedicated his life to guiding people towards inner peace and equipping them with the tools to navigate the complexities of the human mind. Now, in his twilight years, he had traded the frantic pace of city life for the serene tranquility of a secluded village, finding solace in the embrace of nature. Occasionally, he would offer his counsel to those who sought him out, sharing his wisdom with weary travelers and troubled souls. Marco, his heart suddenly aflame with curiosity and a flicker of hope, resolved that he must seek out this enlightened sage. Perhaps, he thought with growing conviction, this wise man holds the key to unlocking the peace I so desperately crave. Thus began Marco's arduous journey. After many days of relentless travel, pushing through dense forests and scaling treacherous mountain paths, he finally arrived at the village nestled in the hills. As he entered the village, his gaze was drawn to a humble dwelling, almost completely enveloped by lush greenery. On the porch, bathed in the gentle sunlight, sat the old man. His eyes were closed, his face serene, radiating an aura of profound tranquility. Summoning his courage, Marco approached him cautiously. "Grandfather," he said softly, his voice barely above a whisper, "my mind is a turbulent sea. I am tormented by endless thoughts, unable to find solace. I yearn for peace in my heart. Can you help me?" The old man slowly opened his eyes, his gaze gentle and understanding. A calm smile graced his lips as he replied, "So you seek peace, young man? Then come with me. I have a small task for you." He led Marco to a small, meticulously kept yard. There, he took a glass and filled it with water, brimming to the very top, almost to the point of overflowing. Even the slightest tremor, it seemed, would cause the water to spill. He carefully handed the glass to Marco. "Walk from here to the edge of the village and then return to me," he instructed. "But remember this, you must not spill even a single drop of water." Marco looked at him, a mixture of surprise and uncertainty in his eyes. However, fueled by his desire to find peace, he resolved to give it his best effort. He carefully grasped the glass, his hands trembling slightly, and began his walk. The road was narrow and teeming with activity. People bustled about, some walking leisurely, others rushing purposefully. Shopkeepers called out to potential customers, their voices vying for attention. Dogs barked playfully, adding to the cacophony of sounds. But Marco remained focused, his gaze unwavering. He deliberately avoided looking around, his eyes fixed solely on the glass in his hands. He walked slowly and deliberately, placing each foot with meticulous care. People noticed him, their faces etched with curiosity, but they respected his concentration and refrained from disturbing him. They sensed that he was engaged in a task of profound importance, a lesson unfolding before their very eyes. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Marco returned to the old man, his heart pounding in his chest. "Grandfather," he announced, a triumphant note in his voice, I did it! I didn't spill even a single drop of water. The old man nodded approvingly, his smile widening. That is commendable, he said. But tell me, did you notice the children playing by the roadside? Did you hear the dogs barking? Marco looked bewildered. No, he admitted. I didn't see or hear anything. My entire focus was on the glass. The old man smiled gently, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. That is the secret, he revealed. A truth that has always resided within you, waiting to be discovered. When your mind is fully present in the moment, there is no room for fear, no space for confusion, and no energy for extraneous thoughts. During your walk, your sole concern was the water in the glass. At that time, your mind became a tranquil pool, reflecting the present moment perfectly. You were not burdened by the regrets of the past, nor were you paralyzed by anxieties about the future. Slowly, the realization dawned upon Marco. This was the elusive peace he had been so desperately seeking. Peace, he understood, was not an external entity to be found, but an intrinsic quality already residing within him. It was a state of being accessible whenever he chose to anchor himself in the present moment. Marco bowed his head in gratitude. "Grandfather," he said softly, "I understand now. If I wish to quiet my mind, I must keep it rooted in the present. It is in this present moment that true peace resides." The old man smiled once more, his face radiating warmth and understanding. The sun was beginning its descent, casting a golden hue upon the landscape. Birds soared gracefully overhead, returning to their nests for the night. Marco turned and began his journey home. But he was no longer the same restless young man who had arrived in the village. He had undergone a transformation, his inner turmoil replaced by a sense of tranquility. He carried within him the knowledge of how to tame his wandering mind, how to find peace in the present moment. If you found this story inspiring, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories filled with wisdom and insight. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We look forward to sharing new stories and new lessons with you in the future. Until then, stay well and stay peaceful.